Some I'm surprised about. I didn't know you were an artist. Okay, that's good. How many have done public art before? Okay. What are you doing here? You know this, so. But I also want to recognize someone in the audience as well. I want to recognize Sandra Bloodworth. If you don't know who Sandra is, she sort of was on the helm of the MTR design program. Almost anything you see in the subway, this woman had something to do with it. So I want to give her her flowers. So without further ado, I'm gonna let's chat. Let's see what you got going on here.
Thank you so much, Kendall. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. And in fact, just yesterday, I had the pleasure of having him as a visiting critic at Pratt Institute's MFA program, where I teach project in the public realm. So we've been in conversation very recently as well, not just about our practice and our own work, but really pulling it forward for students and opportunities for other artists. I know there's so many people in this room who are part of our community, and so I start with Socrates Sculpture Park because there are individuals here as well, including Sean Leonardo, who's going to be talking this afternoon. And so there are all these early projects even that connect us not only to the work and the site, but the people who work there. And so Socrates is one of those special places started by an artist, Mark DeSuvero. Again, flowers and all of that. But it's really thinking about a landfill that you can reshape and transform. And these are discarded umbrellas that I rescued from streets of New York City, sewed them and reintroduced them as a shade and a kinetic sculpture. Those projects led to working in a lot of nonprofits, and this is MoMA, and kind of a way of sourcing materials became a source of participatory art. Asked curators to donate their clothes, and then created community around who works here. Again, thinking about labor and all the people behind these places that we think are only held even as precious objects. And then that led me to one of my first permanent projects with GSA. So I guess the federal government thought I was worthy of a commission. I didn't plan to do anything permanent. I was very shocked, in fact. But what was so lovely was they offered to work with a conservator, and so I could do a signature project like working with clothing, which is again, sort of not a traditional way of doing public works. But this kind of work, rescuing umbrellas that are broken, repairing them, offering clothing as a story around immigration and naturalization, citizenship, military service. Those are the kinds of themes and stories that I'm trying to bring forth in public spaces. I think they are worthy and of value to this country. And I want to show that there's always this behind the scene. So administrators saying, I don't know how you're going to activate, getting clothing from immigrants. So then they would invite me to the day they get citizenship. And it was so wild and powerful to sit among this exciting crowd and invite them to participate in public art with me, continuing their voyage and making a moment of their journey for the public again. So these are the kinds of works that I feel are so meaningful to do public project works with individuals who don't often think about art or think of being able to make art every day. So this is at the Smithsonian American Art Trophies, 2,000 of them transformed to labors of work. And then being able to be seen among the crowd of awards, trying to give tribute to everyday heroes. And then following waste streams, right? Lots of waste streams that deal with technology today, ever-present AI, trying to replace humans. But these waste streams of e-waste and technology are really part of our life and our lived experience. But their impact in the environment is also very much felt. And I've moved into looking at that impact in the environment and done a lot of ecological projects in collaboration with scientists. So this is in Philadelphia, lab-bred mussels, floated into a public fountain that we could witness the biodiversity loss and a resurgence by the scientific community to get water health. And whether wetlands that are vintage, because we love prized buttons so much that we could kill entire water ecosystems. And this project, of course, I was able to source these buttons through Materials for the Arts. Shout out. More love to the amazing communities who are in the audience. None of which I could do without that support.
But before you go into the case studies, I have a couple questions. We just saw a whole bunch of projects, and each one of these projects are made of some completely different materials. And so my first question to you is, what does a material need to carry for you to be interested in it? What compels you to use a particular type of material?
That's a great question. They need to do a lot. They need to almost carry the weight and burden of history, and has in some way experienced levels of violence.
What was that mean? What was the violence?
Like this beautiful button. It's a body, it's a protective shell, you know, of a living creature that we decided to take all and puncture holes in them because they're so beautiful. And I wanted to really talk about the button industry. Of course, they're replaced by plastics, but that's not another evil, right? But just to say, like, this material was so precious and beautiful. We loved it so much that we killed entire ecosystems and abandoned them.